Good evening, everyone. Once again, I appreciate everybody's time. We are starting time now for Cyber Chat, and we are transmitting live on YouTube. You are welcome once again. We are going to begin time now, and tonight's discussion is we are picking up from where we left off last week. We are going to go more in depth and then give everybody the opportunity to ask more questions. So hopefully we'll be able to cover everything this Friday, and then next week we move on to a different topic and hopefully do another discussion panel on a different topic. So you're all welcome. Hang on tight. So Cyber Chat is brought to you by Eretmis Academy, cybersecurity training institute based out of New York. We train anything and everything cybersecurity. If you're trying to get into the industry, if you're already in the industry and you want to build up move up your career ladder in the industry, we do that as well. We also do specialized training. Specifically, our mother company, Eretmis Inc., is a PCI QSA company, so we do PCI training as well. So you are very welcome to join any of our trainings, and we'll be more than glad to help you break into cybersecurity or advance your career in the cybersecurity space. We also do certification training and others like CISSP, Security Plus, and others, right? I'm Dr. Emmanuel Adu. Tonight, my co-pilot is going to be Michael. Michael is going to be picking up from where he left off last week with a discussion. So about myself, I'm a former United States Army captain. Michael is a current Air Force captain, right? So I'm a former, he's current, and fun fact, so when Michael became an officer in the Air Force, I was the one who actually did his swearing in ceremony, right? So I was the captain who sworn Michael in, and now Michael is also a captain. So I'm Michael's granddad. Just kidding. Right. So former United States Army captain, PCI QSA, the owner of a QSA company, cybersecurity consulting firm based out of New York. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and then also CEO of Eretmis Inc. And I love to teach cybersecurity. I love to teach, mentor. And now specifically, I'm focusing specifically on cybersecurity, although I do others in the leadership managerial areas as well. And former professor at University CTC, Central Texas College, and also University of Maryland Global Campus as well. So Eretmis Academy, we are partners, authorized partners of CompTIA. And what that means is that we offer 20% discount to everybody out of the Eretmis family, or if you join us for Cyber Chat. And we are more than happy. We get 20% for being authorized partners. And what we do, the 20% goes directly to you. So for us, we are just doing the legwork for you. We don't really get anything out of it as an incentive, right, for everybody, and also to help you save maybe $80 or thereabout, right? So if you are trying to sit for any of the CompTIA certifications, you can reach out, and mostly, so this is how it works. We don't have a voucher that we're going to, like a coupon that we give you, and then you are going to use that for the discount, right? We purchase the voucher on your behalf, and then that is how you are going to get the discount, right? All right. So, and then also for folks who are and for folks who are looking to sit for or renew their certifications, there are two ways. You can either write the exams again, or you can submit continuous educational points. And for the continuous educational points, what we are doing tonight and all our cyber chats, they all count towards your continuous educational points that you can use to renew your certification without sitting for the exam again, right? So, and for Eretmis, we have a WhatsApp group, a cybersecurity WhatsApp group. We are almost like 1,000 thereabout now. A big group discussion points on there are purely cybersecurity, and we don't do anything beyond cybersecurity. So anything to help you grow, have a family to learn from, and also to get that network going. You are invited to join our cyber WhatsApp group, right? And for WhatsApp, they also have like a channel, and we've created Eretmis Cyber Chat channel. So if you join that, you'll be able to follow everything that is going on with Cyber Chat as well. Now on YouTube, our agenda is 1 million subscribers by October, but it looks like we're probably going to get there before October, right? Last week we were at 810. This week we are 902, right? So growing pretty fast. So we appreciate everybody's help. And if you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you don't miss any cyber chat and all other, we are going to start doing some other videos aside cyber chat. Pretty short ones. Cyber chats are pretty lengthy, but you get a lot also from it. Like cyber chats are like classes on its own. Like tonight is going to be kind of a master class on GRC. So now our discussion topic for tonight, obviously cyber news, and then we'll look at mastering GRC with our roundtable analyst of expert, working in different areas of GRC. So let's get into cyber news. So we'll go through this and then we will open the floor for at least one or two cyber news. I know Renee, if she's on here, she has some cyber news that she's going to share with us, right? And so in the cyber news, we have ChatGPT in the news again. And this time around, some cyber chats ago, they were being sued by the writers of Game of Thrones and other writers because they were using their publication and their books to train their AI without the necessary permission, right? Now, I think they've learned their lesson. So what they've done is they've secured a deal, 250 million deal with some news outlets, all of which are owned by News Corp. So they are going to have access to all the news content from Wall Street Journal, New York Post, The Times, Daily Telegraph, and a dozen others. So what does that mean to ChatGPT? It means that it's going to get better. Now it has, more content to go through. So training ChatGPT is going to be even more better than what it is now, right? So that is a big plus for all ChatGPT users and for the AI community in general, right? So, and then also big money for News Corp, right? Now, also in the news this week for cyber chat, guess who is getting fined? The stock exchange. They are getting fined for something that we've discussed some cyber chats ago, incident response, right? So every company is going to get breached. It's just a matter of when. Right, whoever you are, whatever you are doing, you are going to get breached at a point in time. It's just a matter of when. Now, the stock exchange, which is owned by ICE, the New York Stock Exchange owned by ICE, and ICE also, they have other subsidiaries. They have been fined $10 million as a penalty. And what is that for? For failing to inform the US Securities and Exchange about a cyber intrusion that, happened under their watch, or that happened, on their network. So the fine is, for the key word here is they didn't report it in a timely manner, right? So that goes back to, if you have a very robust incident response program in place, this is not going to happen, because guess what? You have a robust incident response team, and everybody on your team, they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, who is supposed to be talking to who when an incident happens. So there is nothing like you didn't report it in a timely manner, right? So that is, and most companies, they don't take this seriously. It looks good, in their books, in their policies, but the implementation of it, there is always a lot of room for improvement, which for a big company like this, if they've agreed to pay the fine actually because they have the money, right? Or they are going to use their cyber insurance to pay whichever like the case is. But if you are using your cyber insurance to pay $10 million, guess how much you're going to be paying for premiums, right? You can only imagine, right? So you don't want to find yourself in this spot if you are either, expanding your cybersecurity team or having a dedicated incident response team. then such, incidents won't happen, right? And this was the actual intrusion. It kind of borders on 0 day, right? It was an unknown vulnerability, previously unknown vulnerability, which, sounds like a 0 day vulnerability that was found in their VPN, right? So it wasn't anything on their part necessarily, but how they handled it was poor, right? Not in a timely manner. And I think it was a different entity, that kind of a third party, that informed them of this, whole situation. So they are getting fined for simply delaying to report in a timely manner, right? So companies, they have to take this more seriously than they are doing now, right? So with that, we open the floor for at least 2 or 3 cyber news, and then we are going to move on. And please, if you can kindly put in the chat where you're joining us from, we will much appreciate it, and we'll give you some shout out right after this. And please, if you have any cyber news, just raise your virtual hand. That way we are not talking over each other. So please go ahead, Olan.
Yes, I'm not really saying anything about cyber. I just want to ask a question about what you just said. So the fine that will be paid by the stock exchange, to who and what benefits will it be to those people that their data was even breached? That is number one. Then number two, of what time do any company that is being breached, or what time will it be said to be timely to have reported? Because I believe they reported, but perhaps it's a bit late. That's why they say it was not done timely. So what time, is there any specific time that they could make such reports?
So first question, the fine is, they are paying that to the US Securities and Exchange, right? And what are they going to use the money for? For government stuff, right? If you have money and you don't know what you want to do with it, then they will fine you and take some of your money, right? For making silly mistakes like this one. Right now, when is it timely to report incidents? As soon as possible, right? So if we discover the incident in the morning and we've done all our incident response and we've seen that it's a natural incident that is going to cause a grave impact to us, or has caused a grave impact to us, you don't have to sit on it. The same day, you have to let law enforcement know, and then whoever is your head of your industry, or if you are under like a government entity like this that manages and regulates your industry, you have to let them know as well, right? But I think even for this one, they could have pulled it off if probably they reported, like as soon as it happened, they alerted law enforcement and they were working with law enforcement. Then they will probably be able to get out of this, wiggle their way out of this, right? But if you don't have any, traces of, okay, we were working with law enforcement, we reported to them, so we were waiting to see their response before we reported it to you. You don't have anything like that, then you're on your own, right? So when should you report? Immediately, or as soon as possible, but I'll say immediately, as soon as you've been able to confirm, so you don't go around reporting events, right? Adverse events in your organization. You have to make sure you go through your full-blown incident response. You've identified that this is a full incident. You've, started your whole incident. You've set off your incident response team, and they are working on this, right, full time. Then whoever is on your incident response team, there is going to be somebody who is responsible for alerting the security, like the exchange, like the securities and exchange, and then also law enforcement. And so it's probably going to be your legal, slash PR folks who will be working on that side as part of your incident response team, right? So I think for everybody who's gone through internship on here, they appreciate this much better because they've gone through done tabletop exercises and they know the role that different folks on the incident response team are supposed to play, right? So with that, we'll move on to Kingsley. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Doc. So, two things I was going to say. Number one, I wanted to see it as part of their compliance requirements that within certain time an incident of this magnitude will have to be reported. And also, I was going to ask, and this is supposed to be part of their standard operating procedure, where they are going to say, okay, within certain frame or within certain time. For instance, when I was in the criminal justice system, when there's an incident of certain magnitudes, for instance, there's an inmate escape, we have within certain time, within an hour of that incident, you have to inform your chain of command to the highest level, even if you're going to write the report within 24 hours, but within 1 hour, government agencies and all the parties involved have to be aware of that incident immediately, because you never know how far this person is going to travel. You never know how far this incident is going to go. So I want to assume that it was supposed to be part of their standard operating procedure. And like you said, during our training, the incident response program, that should be incorporated into it from the beginning before this evil comes on board.
Yes, you are very right. And I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm not by any means a US securities and exchange expert, but I think for those in that space, stock exchange and the rest, when it comes to cybersecurity side, they should have something on those lines. Even if they don't, as a company, your incident response policy should address that. How often or when should you report an incident if it happens, and who is responsible for who on your incident response team is responsible for doing this. That is why I'm saying if you have a very robust incident response program with a really good incident response team that has been doing tabletop exercises as they are supposed to, and they are very sharp, ready to function, when this will never happen because everybody knows their role and they're playing their role really well. So if there's an incident, it's just like the fire department, right? If they get a call that there's a fire, I don't think you will see them fighting over the fire truck, who's supposed to drive or who's supposed to sit in the back seat and who's supposed to sit in the front. Right? Nothing like that is going to, when they get to the site where the fire is, burning somebody's house down, I don't think they fight over the hose. No, it's me, it's you. No, because they've done their drill, they've done their exercise. If an incident response is tabletop exercise, I don't know how they call it, fire drills. They've done that so many times, they know exactly who has to be where. Right. So there is no way there could have been a fire and, Vincent and Kingsley were fighting over who was supposed to drive, and it took us 10 minutes more to get there. And when we got there, the house was on the ground. That is never going to happen. Right. But for a fire department that doesn't practice, that don't do any exercises, that might happen. Right. So, that is how you should see incident response. So for fires, there's always going to be a fire. It's a matter of when. So you don't wait till when there's a fire and then your fire, whichever fire department you are calling, they are figuring out what to do. They don't do that. They are ready to go. That is how your incident response team should be, ready to go. Soon as there's fire, they are on it, right? They get there, everybody knows their part. So there's nothing like somebody didn't do their part or they dropped the ball on it, right? So hopefully that helps. Renee, please go ahead.
Okay, so.
And then Vincent, and we'll wrap up and move.
Okay, so if anyone has Amazon accounts, please go into settings and check your locations, because what is going on is that they are sending, when you put an order in, they are also trying to send your packages to different addresses. Don't know how they're getting them, but one of my girlfriends said that she had 5 separate locations through Amazon, and she said she never gave but one address location. So everybody that's on here who has an Amazon account need to go into settings and periodically just check to make sure that you only have one address located for Amazon, because several people have already told me that it's going on with their accounts as well. I don't know how they're accessing the account to get different addresses, but periodically I just go in there and go into setting, check your location just to make sure that they don't have 5 or 4 or 3 different addresses for you, because someone is going in there and tapping into personal accounts through Amazon, and they have access to send your packages to other addresses other than the one you have on there. And I don't know how Amazon allowed this to go on for so long, but it's been going on for quite a long time because 2 people already told me that it's happening to them.
Okay. Thank you for that insight, Renee.
Okay,
I think
you're
Vincent, Vincent had his hand up.
Yeah, Dr. Adu, thank you. Real quick, I just wanted to chip in on that discussion about incident response and disclosure. I just wanted to add to what you and Kingsley have said and also explain that the kind of data we're dealing with sometimes also dictates the speed at which you have to disclose it. I'll give you an example, very clear example. GDPR is 72 hours. So if the moment you have a GDPR a breach and it involves GDPR data, it has to be reported within 72 hours. But having said that, internally, just to add to everything you've said about building a very strong incident response team, companies always decide or always regulate because there are no specific laws guiding disclosure. Companies always regulate that through their own policies internally. Like the example Kingsley gave when he worked in law enforcement, that's an internal policy, So a lot of companies always manage disclosure internally by setting up policies that would say, this is how we're going to do it. We're running through. Once this is confirmed, now the PR department would then go out and announce if we have to inform people, notify people whose data were affected. You're running through that chain of command and you just go sequentially. The keyword is prompt disclosure. There's no, aside from GDPR, I don't know any other regulation that dictates when you have to disclose it. But the keyword here is that it has to be done early. So how early it is, if you have a policy that says, if we've gone through all of this process, if it takes you a week to run it through that entire chain of command, and then after that, that's when you are then allowed to disclose it. So it will always depend on your organizational policy. So.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. Very insightful. Andy, please go ahead and we will move forward.
Just to add on to what he has said, indeed, companies do state their policies and enforces their policy. However, if there is, just like you cited an example with GDPR, if GDPR says 72 hours, an organization cannot say they are going to report within 48 hours. It has to be the most restricting one that they have to adapt so that it will fall, because it's being organized it's being monitored by the organization, like GDPR. If it's a GDPR violation, then the GDPR rule is what needs to be gone by.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Thank you. So with that, we'll move forward, look at the courses that we have, and then we jump into our discussion for tonight. So for folks who are looking to get into cybersecurity from any background or whatsoever, we encourage our cybersecurity entry-level course. That takes you through cybersecurity, giving you a very strong foundation in terms of knowledge, and then building you up in terms of skill, where you get to really practice with most of the popular cybersecurity tools that are out there. We walk you through to build your own cybersecurity lab as well, which is pretty fun. And then you are going to go through 2 months of internship, and we help with job placement, where we help you find a job, and we do one-on-one mentorship also to guide you through, right? Unlike other training or trainings out there that will just leave you hanging and dry as soon as you are done. For us, if we run away from you, you're going to find us every Friday night here, right? So you can just unmute yourself and say, okay, these folks, right, they really, did me bad. But for everybody on here, we are able to discuss and, have this family together because we go above and beyond our word, right? So if you're looking to get into cybersecurity, regardless of where you want to specialize, this is going to be the very good foundation upon which you are going to build. And this is not like an introductory class. This class will get you from zero to where you can start working as a cybersecurity professional, making 6 figures, doing your remote jobs, and everything else that you want to do, right? So look into this if you are looking to get into the cyberspace. If you're already in the space and you have friends, family who are looking to get into cybersecurity, you have to find a place that is reliable. So we cannot say more. Now, for folks already in the industry or with some IT background who want to specialize, we encourage you to look into our payment security compliance course as well, our PCI DSS course. Our next cohort is starting on the 15th of July. So you can look into getting into this course. And this is the best PCI DSS course out there, right? There are some courses out there that are teaching you PCI, HIPAA, RMF, everything within 2 months. I don't know what they are teaching you, but PCI, just our specialist course takes 4 months, right, to go through. So it's a country on its own. So you cannot just use a week to teach somebody PCI. Well, you're going to know the 12 requirements and the 12 requirements and the 6 goals. But if it was just left with that, you can download that from PCI's website, right? So it's like you buying the law book to go defend yourself in court. The book itself, really, the application or how you apply it and how you go about it, navigating, the whole content of it is what we are going to teach you here in terms of strategy, in terms of how you're actually going to do the job. So we have students coming out of the PCI program who go on to become PCI managers, program managers for running the whole entire company's PCI program. And if you are half-baked in PCI, good luck doing that, right? You are going to be, like I always say, a working heart attack. So you're always looking behind you, seeing who is going to troubleshoot you, or because you are not even sure what you're doing. If you want to be really sure about what you're doing when it comes to PCI, then this is the place to be, right? And then we have our almighty GRC internship and workshop. Our next cohort is also starting on the 20th of July. Now here, for folks with some IT background, cybersecurity background, you have some knowledge, you've done some self-study. Now you don't have the actual real-world hands-on experience that employers are looking for, right? Just like what we're discussing right now. For what we're discussing is not only based on your knowledge, right? You can have the knowledge, all right, but if it comes to incident response, you know what it is. How do you really go about, setting up an incident response for a company? How do you go about conducting an incident response tabletop exercise? Who has to do what, right? Now you get the chance to really do this in real world and practice, do your tabletop exercises. So when there is an incident like this, you can speak to it. Oh, they should have done this. This person is the one who's supposed to, right? You can sit at any cybersecurity table discussion, regardless of who will be at that table, whatever years of experience they have, you can also contribute meaningfully, right? So if you want to really broaden your knowledge base in terms of what you can do in the cybersecurity space and have that confidence when you go to interviews, and then also on the job, most importantly, to be able to function and work effectively and have your peace of mind and go home and sleep, eat your wife's food or your husband's food, and really taste it without being stressed out about work, then this is where you have to be, right? Cybersecurity, GRC internship and workshop. We work on 10 major cybersecurity projects. That goes beyond a little bit beyond GRC. It's almost 80% there about GRC focused, and then we go a little bit beyond GRC. So you go through doing audits, working on incident response programs, third-party audits, doing risk assessment itself, and then third-party risk assessments also as well. Baseline, setting up baseline for your company, and a whole list of it, right? Creating awareness training for your company, and a whole lot more, right? So if you want, and then also most importantly, you work in groups and teams, so you are going to build a family for life. This is going to be your cybersecurity family, your cybersecurity group that you can always fall back on, right, for support, and then also on the job if you need any help, or you need to talk to somebody about cybersecurity. This is going to be something that is going to really set you apart from everybody else, right? So with that, we are going to move into tonight's discussion. and I will hand it over to Michael. So Michael is going to take over. He's going to moderate for the rest of the program. And then kindly, if you have any questions, you raise your virtual hand, and when Michael gets to a good stopping point, he will let you in and you'll be able to ask your question. But we appreciate our guests for tonight, almost the same group from last week. And tonight, they are going to go more deep into what they are doing on the job, and you can also ask them all your questions. So, Michael, I'm going to hand it over to you. You can take it away from here.
All right. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're joining from. We appreciate everyone for joining this cyber chat tonight or evening. Like I said, depending on morning, depending on where you're joining from. Thank you so much. Big shout outs to our panel again for availing themselves, being willing to share their knowledge and expertise in the GRC space. So without much ado, we'll dive right into it. As for those of you who missed last week's session, it was a very, very good one. We had a lot of feedback. So I'll just introduce the panel one more time for those who missed them last week. So we do have Bernice here with us. We have Sheila, we have Teresa, we have Kingsley, and also our very own, and also my namesake, Michael. So these are going to be our panel members for tonight. And so please keep, what we'll do is I'll kind of spice it up a little bit. I know we waited till the very end and we went to Q&A, but I'll be going through the chat. Sometimes some people have questions during the delivery. So I'll try and see if I can incorporate some of the Q&A into the stream as well, instead of waiting till the very end. So with that being said, sit back, relax, grab your tea, coffee, whatever you prefer, and get ready as we dive into it. So we'll continue from where we left off last week. And just to give a quick intro for those who were not able to join last week, we did some introduction and background. We talked about some tools and techniques. Our members, they did expose us to some of the tools that they use at their job, some of the GRC tools. We heard a lot about RSA Archer. We heard about Zen GRC. So just a quick recap there. Today, we'll be diving more into skills and training, because I know some people were wondering, I want to break into the cybersecurity industry. What skills do I need? What type of training do I need when I start my job? First 90 days, how is it going to look like, right? Some people get scared before they start their job. So we'll ask them. They'll share some experiences about that as well. And we'll dive also into their work-life balance, right? Some people want to understand, like every other job, cybersecurity, how is the work-life balance to do your work, and also balance that with your family and your personal life as well. And also we'll talk about preparing for a GRC role, right? Now you just got your offer letter, you all done with your background check and everything, right? You start in first 60, 90 days. What am I going to do? And I will also talk about organizational culture and fit, because you have to make sure you're a good fit for the company as well. In as much as the money is good, that you don't want to get all the money and be miserable at work, right? So organizational culture really, really do plays a very, very big role as far as the total concept is concerned. And we'll also hit on some personal insights and experiences, and we'll wrap it up with some final thoughts. So with that much ado, let me start, of course, our ladies first, right? I know, I don't know, was it last year or sometime, I don't know, I think last year or 2 years ago or whenever, we did a whole session about females in cybersecurity. I think it was a great one. So we are a very, very inclusive community. We try to encourage everyone, irrespective of your background, gender, race, sexual orientation, or geographical location. We do encourage, we are a very diverse community. So we highly do encourage everybody. It doesn't matter where you're from or what particular field that you are in. So let's talk about some skills and training. So we'll start with our, of course, ladies first, right? So Sheila, if you are ready, we'll have the first question for you. So the question is, what technical skills are required or are critical for a GRC professional to be effective in their role? I'll take this one more time for Sheila. What technical skills are critical for a GRC professional to be effective in their role? So Sheila, if you are ready, you can take this one.
Yeah, hi everyone. Coming from the background of no cybersecurity I will say that, which counts for most of us here, I will say that almost not little to nothing. The basic that we are all aware of, like Excel, Microsoft Word, basic computer softwares or computer skills that we all have or we all utilize, be it that you are a nurse, you use that at your workplace, be it that you're in customer service or whatever you do. I am sure that you do utilize one or two of these. That from the beginning is good enough for you to be able to start. And then as you study, you are able to learn. And 1 minute, please. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. So when coming into the field itself, like I said, you will not need very much. But as you start studying, you will get your hands on that is offered at Eretmis, where you have access to some of the basic tools like Splunk and all that is available with the hands-on training that Eretmis offers. So then it gives you a little feeling of how these tools work. You're going to realize that it's basically the name tools sounds like it's this major thing, but it's not. And then one thing that you also have to understand is almost every organization that you start with, whatever tool that you're going to be required to use, you will be trained on. The most important thing that I always tell people is always remember to let it known to a person interviewing you that you are trainable. You have had a hands-on with, say, Splunk, and so you are going to be able to transfer that knowledge onto another tool that they want you to. So don't ever walk in there and say, "Oh, I've never used this before."
All right. Thank you so much, Sheila. So Teresa, please, if you're ready, can you go ahead and take this question as well? What are some of the technical skills that you need for a GRC job?
Tools that they are required to. So that is what I will say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sheila. That was very insightful. So I will call in Teresa. Teresa, please, if you're around. They want to know what technical skills do you need to pretty much pursue GRC role?
So just to add to what Sheila mentioned, I came to this role, deciding to take on cybersecurity profession. I didn't have much knowledge. Even if I had, it was really sparse, like here and there. And so once I joined Eretmis Inc., Eretmis Academy, I was able to get the basic skills that was needed to land on a job in cybersecurity. And so for you to be able to get a job in cybersecurity, you need to be trained in a proper place. And so just like Dr. Edu was saying, I went through the cybersecurity internship and we worked on different projects, audits, baseline determination, third-party risk assessment. It was a lot of different fields that we covered in cybersecurity. And so going through the training, I was able to get those skills that were needed for me to get the job. And so you can learn. I did learn my own. I went to different places. I got the skills, but not fully. And Eretmis Academy gave me the skills that I needed to be able to get a job. And so for you to get a cybersecurity job, you need to be trained. And it doesn't matter your background, just like we hear every day, people are nurses and they have been able to land a cybersecurity job. And so what you have right now, I'm saying shouldn't limit you, but make a decision to join the Eretmis Academy, and that will give you the skills that you need to be able to land a job. Because on the job, there are different tools, just like Sheila was saying, that going through the training, you will learn the skills that is needed. Don't worry so much about you not knowing tools, because once I got my job, the tools that the company is using, I was trained to use those tools and that kind of stuff. But going through that internship, you learn the skills, the knowledge of the trade, the different frameworks that works in cybersecurity. I was able to get understanding and use those skills hands-on, and that's how I got the skills that was able to land me a job. So, just like I'm saying, your basic idea, the daily things you know are all good, but top it up with good training, and that will give you the skills to land a job. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Teresa. Appreciate your insights. So we will call Bernice. So Bernice, please, if you're available, can you also share your thoughts with us?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear, Bernice. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So to add to all that the two other speakers have said, as a technical skills, the technical skills that you need for GRC to relate to what I do, I believe the most important skills that we can all bring on is the project management skills or planning and how you can forecast your project. Because in this role, whether you are in the governance side, the rec side, or the compliance side, you should be able to manage your project. Because most of us, I know with the other speakers as well, the project will be given to you. You are not going to micromanage. You have to be able to manage your project. So it's very important to have that skill. So planning and how to forecast, prioritize your project. So that's very important so that you meet your deadlines. And also one other technical skill that you need is basic networking, security. At least you have to know those basics, and also you have to know risk analysis or risk assessment, which is very important to able to identify risks in relation to your project, and you'll be able to kind of report. So reporting and documentation is also very important, and also so documentation, reporting, project management is also very important. Risk management, vulnerability management. So I would say those are the technical skills that I believe you kind of need as a start to enter these three areas: governance, risk, and compliance.
All right, that was very helpful. Thank you so much, Bernice. Kingsley, why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts?
All right, thank you, Michael. So in terms of tech, can you hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Okay. So in terms of technical skills or GRC, you need to understand the three aspects of the GRC, which is governance, risk management, and compliance, and the corresponding frameworks that helps to drive that sector. For instance, you need to understand the governance of the organization, how the information security activities will align with the goals of the organization so that management can make informed decisions based on your security information system. You need to also understand the risk management framework in terms of how to identify risk, how to categorize your risk, and how to manage those risks in terms of whether to avoid those risks, whether to mitigate the risk, whether to transfer the risk or accept the risk. So you need to understand those concepts. And then in terms of compliance, what organization are you dealing with? For instance, I work in the banking sector. I have to understand the PCI DSS regulations because we're dealing with payment card data. If you're working in the hospital environment, the healthcare environment, you need to understand the HIPAA framework and how it applies to your daily job. Also, again, the GDPR, which is your general data protection. So you need to understand those technical words. And like the last speaker said, Bernice, I think it was, you need to also understand the basics of cybersecurity. For instance, most people think GRC is one area that is not technical. Of course, it's not technical, but you need to understand that everything we do in cybersecurity borders on the network, whether we like it or not. Everything goes through the network, whether you're talking about cloud, talking about risk, everything borders on the network. So it only makes sense for you to have a basic understanding of how network works. You may not be a network expert, you may not be a network guru, but you need to have basic understanding, technical understanding of how the network, connects and exchange data. You must also have a basic understanding of how the system interacts, so that at the end of the day, again, have knowledge of basic, malware, how the different kinds of attacks that you could possibly be dealing with on a daily basis. So once you have these basic, and these are not very technical, they are things you can read up and have an understanding of what they are. And I think that will give you the background you need to be a GRC specialist. Thank you.
Right, Kingsley, thank you so much for your thoughts. So my namesake, Michael, why don't you wrap us up with this question?
Yeah, all right. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, so I think my colleagues actually basically said it all. But in order to answer this question, I'm just going to refer everybody to, there is a free cybersecurity course on the Eretmis page, right? That's the cybersecurity IT, for beginners. So that actually helps provide you with what you actually need to be successful in cybersecurity, right? So it actually gives you the basis, the fundamentals, and the foundation that you actually need to be able to survive. It also gives you an idea if this is something you think you can do and then you want to do, right? So I'll refer everybody. It's a free course, right? So I'll refer everybody to just take a look at it if you haven't, and that's actually going to give you a kind of idea of what you actually need to succeed in this field, right? As a GRC specialist, analyst, or manager of or whatever it may be. But personally, I would say if you can read and write, right? So I think that's probably the number one technical skills you need, right? If you can read and write, trust me, you can do GRC, right? Read and write, and then having the willingness to go through a rigorous training, right? And also being very attentive and keen to details, right? So if you can read and write, and you actually are willing to take yourself through a rigorous training like the one that is provided by Eretmis, I'm pretty sure this is the right field for you. So yeah, I mean the others actually have pretty much said it all, but for my experiences, my personal experience, know how to read and write, and just be willing to go through a training, and then you can be successful in this field. So, and I just want to add that for most of us on the panels, there is nothing, right? We are all unique in our own ways, but there's nothing special about us, right? So just basically follow what we did, which is, making sure we actually followed all the steps that were provided by Dr. Edu, right? If you decide to go through Eretmis, the steps that was provided by Dr. Edu, and then just make sure you follow those steps and then practice every day, and making sure you are willing, to go through the training, because it's not easy, right? It takes a lot. It takes a lot of hours, a lot of hard work, and then just having that willingness. And then once you can read and write and you are trainable, then yeah, the Eretmis can train you to be able to be successful in this field. So I think that's what I have for now.
Right. You'll be able to train well and be successful with this job. Thank you so much, Michael. But I wanted to reiterate one more time, those of you who want to use this opportunity to take a screenshot for your continuous education, please just do not forget #TeamLife in the chat, take a screenshot, file it away, and you can use that to renew your certification. All right. So just to wrap it up, like they said it all, everything comes back to the basic. So just make sure you know your basics. They all said there's nothing extra. If you can read and write, pay attention to detail, you can reply to emails, right? And also learn and be curious. Be curious to learn. You don't want to be that person go sit in the middle of an interview with network engineers and GRC and IT folks, vulnerability management folks, incident response team, and you don't want to learn. Just listen, and most of this you learn on the job. So just be willing to listen and learn. If you hear a word I don't understand, go back home, research, watch YouTube, everything is on your own. Dr. Du will tell you he's learning all the time. I am learning all the time because I'm curious. I want to learn, right? So when you hear something you don't know, keep learning and you'll be perfectly fine. Now, let's pivot to soft skills. I know sometimes most people are always tied up with, okay, I need to learn all the technical stuff. And sometimes they walk into an interview and all the questions they get asked is soft skills, right? So I'll start with you, Michael. What are some of the soft skills that you need to help you be a successful GRC role player?
Yeah, so in terms of soft skills, I mean, it's a lot. And for like what most of us on the panel do, and not even just us, like everybody generally in the GRC field or area of cybersecurity. So it's more or less dependent, on how well you do within a team. And like most of our day-to-day job duties, I would say like personally, my probably 90 to 95% is soft skills, right? The technical aspect of what I do on a day-to-day basis is just the bare minimum if take into consideration on a bigger picture of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So basically being able to work within a team, right? So number one, knowing how to talk to people and how to relate, right? And how to work with people. Because we know how, and it's not just for GRC, but like every work you go in, right? There are up and downs. There are a lot of issues within teams, and generally, as a GRC analyst, you are actually part of the bigger information security team, right? So it's not you just GRC. You have a lot of people, right, in your actually information security team, and then from there is like the infrastructure team. There's the IT, architecture. So being able to talk to people, right, being able to be patient as well. So like for what we do, it requires a lot of patience, right? And I quite remember like one of the past PCI cyber chat we had. I think Rumen was talking about, sometimes requesting evidence from some folks, and then you barely even get a response, right? They'll just ignore you to maybe you reach out to their manager and stuff like that, right? So basically, yeah, being somebody who actually knows how to work with people and know how to talk to people as well, right? Because generally, as a GRC analyst, you're going to be the liaison, the point of contact between the business side, right, and the security side, right? So you always have to try and work to strike that kind of balance. So basically, sometimes I have to work with the business side. So like, let's say for servers and business owners, I have to reach out to them. Let's say if they have an exception or in terms of vulnerability management, if I need a remediation. So sometimes it's always hard to work with people because sometimes you email people and they'll not even get back to you. It's a lot of back and forth. You have to escalate, right? So I would say the number one skills is just knowing how to be be a team person. So basically know how to stay, work, and behave within a team. Because at the end of the day, you know yourself. So and you have to also be conscious of how other people's are, right? So basically, and that's why I said earlier I brought up the being keen to details, right? So you study your team, you know their likes and don't likes, and then that way you can make an assessment and know how to approach people that you work with on a day-to-day basis. So I would say the number one skills for me is being how to work within a team, and I'll leave the rest for the others to bring up.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. All right, Kingsley, do you need soft skills?
Yeah, of course, we need soft skills, but like Dr. Adu will always say, it's more of the bigger aspect of cybersecurity than the technical skills. And I say that, I reiterate that because technical skills, you can go learn them. But when it comes to soft skills, it's something that you develop over time. Nobody can teach you how to interact in a team. Like Michael has already said, you need to be able to collaborate with people because that's what you're doing. That's your job. I remember my job, I'm doing evaluation on these applications, and there are people that you need to get information from them within a timeline. And these guys are not responding, they're not talking to you, they're not responding to emails, they're not responding to meetings that you schedule. How do you break through them? How do you get to these people to get information? You need to take advantage of diversity to understand people from different backgrounds and different environments and how they do their things. You need to be able to pay attention to detail. It's very, 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 very important in the job we do. One slight mistake can cause the entire organization to go down. So you need to be able to pay attention to details. You need to be very analytical. You need to be able to do what we call comparative analysis of events, a comparative analysis of situations. Let's look at the past, the present, and that will help us determine what the future is going to look like or what the next outcome is likely going to be like. So, like Michael said, you need to be able to interact with people and understand their needs versus your needs. I was reading a book. It says if you want to get anything from anybody, think about it from your own perspective. You want to you want to be a terrorist, for instance. How best do you want to do that you not be caught? So you must know how to read people, understand them, and fortunate enough, these are things that most of us already have. It doesn't matter what field you've worked, being an engineer, being a banker, being in the nursing profession, you already have most of these skills. You just need to be able to identify them and see how you can transfer those skills. That's why they call them transferable skills. How you can bring those skills into your next job, into cybersecurity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kingsley. Bernice, why is soft skills important in a cybersecurity role?
Yeah, okay. So it's very important and you cannot do away with it for all the reasons that Michael and the other speaker just spoke about. I also touch on the same, pretty much the same thing. Paying attention to details is very critical because you want to protect the confidentiality of information. So let's say you are an ISSO or you are analyst. You might be an analyst for different system owners from different office, different departments. So let's assume you are analyzing their vulnerability scan report. You need to reach out to them for remediation. So you don't want to send the wrong report to the wrong office because everybody doesn't want the other office to see the vulnerability in their system. So it's very important to pay attention to detail. I had a similar experience my former place. So my manager, so normally when we process the monthly report, we have a tool that we post there. It's called Max Border. Yeah, I believe so. So we post for about 12 offices. So unfortunately for my manager, she posted the reports like 2 different reports. She posted for the wrong office. So I think about a week later, I went in and so mostly when I do it, I make sure like I check the previous month and make sure like I'm someone who really pay attention to details. I can double check one thing for about a minute before I send it. So that's what I do just to make sure I don't send the wrong information to the wrong office. So unfortunately for my manager, she sent the wrong report to the wrong office. So I immediately prompted her about that, and she had the administrative right, so she went in to make the correction because it was one thing that she told me: make sure you don't send the report to the wrong office. So I always double check, but for some reason she made the same mistake that she warned me about. So I would say paying attention to details is very important in this. In whatever role you find yourself, you have to pay attention. You don't want to send the wrong report or wrong information to the wrong person just to protect the confidentiality of information. So I'll just touch on that because Michael and the rest have already touched on communication and interpersonal skills already.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernice. So, Teresa, let me kind of spin this up a little bit, right? I'm sure some folks are wondering, what type of soft skills do I need to be successful in a GRC role?
So what type of soft skills I need to just like my colleagues have said earlier, one skill that I can say is that you need to have good communication skills and presentation skills. You know, you have the technical skills, but you'll be able to put your technical skills to work at using your soft skills. And so if you have all the technical skills and then your soft skills is very low, you will struggle even if you have the technical skills. And so just like Bernie said, you need to be able to pay attention to detail. In cybersecurity work, it's what I would say is that for me, I'm looking at different angles. I'm looking at vulnerabilities from scanning tools, vulnerabilities from pen testing tools. I'm using like Jira to manage all that. And so every place I go, I have to like remind myself that this is for this tool, this is for this location, this is for this scanning tool. And so you really have to be able to pay attention to details so that you can really do your work. And you need to have teamwork skills and collaborative skills to be able to work with the different folks that you will work with, because in cybersecurity we are interconnected. And so there's somebody managing risk that they will get to a point where they'll have to send something to you to also manage. And so we don't work in silos in cybersecurity. You are going to collaborate with others. So you should be able to collaborate with all the different teams you come across. And just when like the communication skills, I can't stress that enough. It's very critical in cybersecurity. You need to be able to talk to the different teams, be very flexible, be very adaptive, and be able to change and say, don't be so much argumentative. Just be flexible, treat others that the same way you want them to treat you, and you will really enjoy your work. Because just like I said, cybersecurity, you are going to collaborate with many folks to get one piece of work done. And so that collaborative skills, that communication skills, paying attention to detail, being a critical thinker, being very flexible in your role, will all help you to be very successful, because you will put your technical skills through to work using your through your soft skills. And so the two of them go together and hand in hand. And if you don't know how to use that soft skills, then you will really struggle excelling in your role as a cybersecurity professional. And one thing I would say is that be a hard worker. Let people know, like, let your manager know that you enjoy the work that you are doing, right? Be very diligent, and let others know that when I come to work, I am here. For me, I work remote, and that doesn't give me the license like log in and then walk around, right? So that prompts me to always stay at my computer to make sure I am working. So communicate to others around you, like you are really working and you enjoy the work that you are working. Be a critical thinker and good time management skills. I guess that's all I can add to what my earlier presenters have said. So thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So back to you, Sheila. I'm sure some people out here, they were like, okay, I'm not a people person. That is why I decided to do cybersecurity, so I don't have to talk to anyone. To be an effective GRC professional, how often do I need my soft skills? Is it once a day? Is it just once every hour, twice a week? How is soft skills important? This is for you, Sheila. All right, maybe we'll come back to Sheila. Let's pivot. And let's start with you again, Teresa, if you don't mind. Some people out here, they are wondering if they go to LinkedIn, they see people with so many certifications, CISSP, PCIP, risk. People have CISM, CISA. They get scared, right? They don't even want to apply for jobs. Can you please talk to us, Teresa? What type of certification do you need, or do you need certification to land a job?
All right. So again, thank you. So for me, I would say in cybersecurity, you really do not need certification. It's more so about your technical skills and the knowledge you have and the soft skills you have that will land you a job. Because when I was looking for a work, nobody asked me, what certification do you have? Right? I just put it on my resume, and I know some people will ask you, but I was able to get a job with all the people I interviewed. Nobody asked me what certification I have. But what I would say is that in as much as we want to do the job, you also want to grow in the industry. Having a certification doesn't deter you from getting, not having doesn't deter you from getting a job, but if it also helps you to grow your skills, right? And so just you can go on, get a job, but for you personally to build yourself up, certification will help you one way or the other to get knowledge. And also, some jobs will look at it, but most jobs that I apply for and the many interviews I went to, nobody asked me about my certification. I do have CompTIA Cybersecurity Plus. I have PMP, and I have some additional Agile certifications, which I had before coming into cybersecurity. Nobody asked me when I was looking for a job, so that shouldn't deter you, like I've said, but it's good. It helps you to build your knowledge in the field. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teresa. Let me just piggyback on what you just said. I think you said something interesting here. I'm sure the team will love to know. Is there any particular education or training that you went through, cybersecurity, that really helped you or made you very successful once you started your job?
I would say the training I went through is, I would say, was Eretmis Inc. Eretmis Academy internship. That is where I got the complete training for me to be able to get a job. Initially, I went through, I think, 2 months of RMF. It doesn't cover everything that we do in cybersecurity. It would just teach you the 6 steps of RMF. But once I finished the internship, it covered, on my job, is like I'm able to connect the dots because of the broad training I receive in with Eretmis Academy. There's somebody doing third-party risk assessment. I'm not doing that, but I have the knowledge in that. I'm not doing security awareness training, but on our team, there's somebody doing that. So when the person reaches out to me, I know I can connect the dots to understand what the person is asking me. So the training I got was me going through the internship with the Eretmis Academy, taking me through, understanding the frameworks, the MITRE ATT&CK, all the basic frameworks for cybersecurity, and the hands-on experience I got in audits, baseline determination, third-party risk assessment. It's a lot as incident response planning, all that kind of stuff, going through tabletop exercise. It broadened my knowledge and gave me the skills that I needed to do to be able to do the job I'm doing. So with me having those certifications, they were not enough for me to get a job. I had to go through a training that gave me the hands-on experience and knowledge to be able to get a job. I hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Oh, you're there. Thank you so much. Bernice, I'll pivot to you and I will take some questions here in the chat. So Bernice, can you describe any specific training or certification that has been very valuable in your career?
Okay. Yeah, for me, I would say certifications are needed, but it's not that important. And as Teresa said, some will ask, some will not ask. Like my current company, they are very keen on certification. Like they're always reaching out who has renewed their certification during quarterly meetings. They show everybody's certification. So it depends on the company. And it's not just having the certification, as Dr. Du always say, not just having the certification, but you have to be able to speak to it, and it has to reflect in what you do on the job. So certification is needed just to make your resume look nice, because employers will look for it, depend on the company that you are applying for. So you can have it, but don't just get any dumb questions and just write it and have it, but you have to make sure you kind of can speak to it. And so I would recommend Dr. Du's certification classes. Is very good. Like for instance, I took the CISSP certification course with Dr. Du, and I can tell you that really helped me. I know a lot of people write the CISSP so many times before they pass, but I just wrote it once because Dr. Du's course was very helpful. And for instance, I had the app from the official CISSP course, but I can tell you, when I was in the exams room, I could remember exactly what Dr. Du was saying in his videos, and that actually helped me pass my exam, because the questions were not just what was on the questions that I bought from the official website, but the way Dr. Du explained the CISSP questions, the topics, it really helps you. So I would say if you want to go for certification, come to Eretmis, take the course. Don't think it's expensive, but look at the value that you're going to get. It will go a long way, even in your career. So certification, it helps, but don't just go for it. But you have to be able to speak to it and reflect in what you do as a cybersecurity professional. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Bernice. I think we have a question in the someone we have a virtual hands raised. Emmanuel, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, I've promised myself I will continually attend these cyber chat, because I've discovered that, I want to say this before I ask my question, please. I discovered that something we learn here, you might not get it to read in any textbook. These are just practical experience, and it's helping us, especially we that are just coming into the Eretmis Academy. Now, my question has to do with soft skill. Now, if you have a due date to complete an assignment or to put in a report, and the input you require is dependent on some other persons, and the persons are delayed, they are not forthcoming, they are not, if you schedule a meeting, they are not complying, you will send them email, they may not respond. So how do you handle such situation? I'm asking this, let's assume this question was posed to you in an interview. How will you respond to it? Thank you.
Very great question. Yeah,
Can
please.
I say something?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, Emmanuel, thank you for asking that question. So there is something I learned a long time ago that still works for me till now. Always plan for the unintended consequences of other people's behavior. Let me say that again. Always plan for the unintended consequences of other people's behavior. And that is where the soft skill of time management comes in. You have 3 weeks on your deadline to get this application done. Why are you sending an email in the last week of your deadline? Once I find out that I have this deadline, I mean, there's no harm in saying it's done earlier than it's been done late. So that's where the soft skill comes about time management, where you have to assume, let's assume that I send this thing out today and this person is on vacation, it's not going to come back until 2 weeks' time. Then that application is going to be waiting. So it's important for you to understand time management. It's a skill that most of us look at and like, oh, I got time. They give you your applications, like, oh, I still got 3 months to get them done. Before you know it, 3 months creeps up on you and the application is still sitting there. So it's important to use that time management skill and build it with communication, where you're able to reach this person outside of, you send an email, they don't respond, you schedule a meeting, they don't respond. Where else can you find them? I found somebody on LinkedIn and I sent them a message and they responded from my work. This is somebody I've been trying to reach and is not responding. I found them on LinkedIn, sent them a message, and we got it done. So you have to be able to manage your time in such a way that you can still meet up with your deadlines.
Thank you very much.
I also would like to add that you have to also just do your due diligence. There are people like that, they will never respond. So just do your due diligence. At least you have email trace that if it comes critical, you can show to management that you did your due diligence, and also be proactive and you request from your manager or your lead for extension if needed, and provide reason why you need an extension, because others, your work depend on others. So just be proactive ahead of time. Let management know that you need extension. So you don't wait to the last day before you request for extension, or the day of when the actual project is due. So be proactive and let management know. Just do your due diligence and keep reaching out, and if possible, CC your manager on that email or how the communication is, so that they will know that you did your due diligence, and ask for extension as needed.
All right, Bernice, that was very,
Yeah,
very
Mike.
great.
Yeah, Mike, I want to add something little. Yeah. So, just
Please,
a
go
little
ahead.
thing for,
Yeah.
so like when you go to interviews and you get such questions, it's always good to be able to speak to make whoever is interviewing you know that, okay, like I actually know what I'm talking about, and this is what I actually do on a day-to-day basis, from based on the question Emmanuel asked. So the key word is escalation, right? So if you get such question during an interview, the simple way to answer is that we have an escalation process within our company where we escalate, situations where we are not getting the right responses from individuals that we reach out to get evidences or documentation or whatever it may be, right? And then during the interview, they might ask you, okay, so how does the escalation process work, right? So me personally, I have what I call a two strike policy, right? So first, I'll send you an email, right? And then if I don't get an answer within 2-3 days, sometime more or less 2 days, I'll send you a reminder, right? And once I don't get a reply from the second email, I'm gonna send a third email, and on the third email, I'm gonna copy my manager and your manager on it, right? And for like most part, once I copy people's manager on it, for like I'll say 85% of the time, I do get a response. Sometimes there are people like who are really like stubborn and they will still wouldn't provide a response, right? So then in that case, I'll reach out to my manager and I'll ask my manager, are you okay with me escalating this to the CISO, right? Because sometimes, depending on whoever your manager is, they might say okay or they might say no, right? So sometimes my manager will be like, yes, Michael, go ahead and escalate to the CISO, right? And then I'll send another email, right, which is going to be the fourth one, which is going to be copying everybody that I copied earlier, plus the CISO on it, right? And the CISO is the last stop, right? So that way, at least, like just Benny said, you have a paper trail, right? So you have a tracking record to show that, hey, I did send out these emails and I didn't get a response, right? So if you are in an interview and happen to get such questions, the right thing to say is, okay, hey, like within our company, we have an escalation process whereby we escalate such situations, right? And you just giving that answer is the person, whoever is interviewing you, is gonna be like, okay, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, right? You're not just sitting there giving a story, but you're using some of those keywords that interviewers or hiring managers want to actually hear, right? So yeah, so this is my, just my little knowledge about this situation.
I want to add something, if that's okay.
Absolutely, please.
Yeah, so I'll give an example. So for what I do, we do have some stakeholders that we do certain things to help strengthen their cybersecurity posture. So whenever the analysts reach out and several attempts are made via emails, via phone calls, sometimes you even do a drive-by and also sort of attempt processes and still don't get any response. Guess what? When that stakeholder get attacked or when that stakeholder get an incident, it gets to the higher ups from all the way up before even the CISO, and then it will come down to the CISO, come to my director, and then come to supervisor and us. And it all comes down to what Bernice and everybody have said. You need to have proof. So all your contacts, all the processes that you use, you need to document. Documentation is very important. If you don't document, it's like you didn't do it. So you need to have paper trail of what you're saying or of what has happened. So when that happens, they will reach out to us and ask, what has been your encounter with this particular stakeholder? And we have to send our proof to them. And in that case, you have done your due diligence. So you have washed your hands. But when they come back and you don't have anything to prove, the person can say, I didn't hear anything, and you cannot prove it. And then again, recently we had to do metrics for a team, my team actually. And one of the team members was just not forthcoming. Did everything, we met, he will show up and not show his work. It was just back and forth until we have to actually go and present as a team. And he didn't do his due diligence. So it was just up to him and he got in trouble. So no matter what you do, you are going to meet a lot of these people. They are everywhere you go. Wherever you work, you meet them. But always you do your due diligence. You cannot force them, but you keep pushing and also do have proof that you have made this attempt. And so if it's not done, at least you have tried and you have proof for it. Thank you.
Wow. See, like they keep saying, you cannot get this anywhere. These are very, very typical, very great question, Emmanuel. Very typical questions that you get out of interview. But I just want to sum everything up, wanted to reiterate. So whenever you go to an interview and you ask a question like this, and they start with, tell me about a time, right? We have something we call a STAR approach. Whenever you hear, tell me about a time, which means you have to tell a story, right? So you approach this by using a STAR approach. You talk about the situation, the task, action, and result, right? And Sheila just kind of pretty much summarized everything, right? And one technique that personally I always use, so sometimes depending on how your organizational structure is set up, I've seen people work in large organizations, they've never even talked to the CISO before. Because if you're an analyst, you have to talk to your manager, right? Maybe your cybersecurity manager. There's also a senior security compliance manager. There's a director, there's a senior director, and then the CISO, right? So if you use a chain of command, look at all the loops you need to go through before you escalate. Some people working like very, small organizations, it's just them and straight to the CISO, right? So depending on organization, see how you're going to escalate. Email trail, like they said, is very, very critical. If you send, like, if they have any end user communications technology, like maybe Slack, Chime, whatever the case may be, you Slack them, you Chime them, they don't respond. Like they said, you send an email, you CC your boss and their boss as well. If they are out of the office, you see the out of office reply that will tell you that, okay, they're out of the office, maybe they're on vacation, that's why, right? You can check on their calendar, it's very useful. So when you get into an interview, just be, throwing some of these examples, right? You talk about situation. I was working on a project, maybe I was working on collecting evidence for vulnerability management. It was very, very critical because it was due every quarter. Quarter was coming up and we didn't have it yet. I reached out to VM Ops, nobody was responding, right? So that was a situation task. What did you do? I sent an email first to the POC. I checked first, they were not out of the office. I checked their calendar. There was no out of the office notification on their calendar. I sent an email, still they did not respond. So I sent a second email and I CC'd my boss and also their boss to start the escalation process, right? And what I also did on the side was every team works with different people. So I saw the other people that they work with in the same org, right? So let's say Michael, Sheila, Bernice are on the same team, but I'm reaching out to Bernice for this evidence. Bernice is not responding. Guess what? I'm reaching out to Michael. I'm reaching out to the other team member. So in my situation, I was able to reach out to Michael. Michael was able to provide me that information right away. So instead of I reach out to the person did not respond, but I was able to reach out to the person's team member, right? And I got the same information. So you can use that example as well. So that was the action result. I got the evidence that I need. Everything was fine. So you can use that as well.
Thank you so very much, everyone.
Absolutely. All right. Because of time, let's get one more question. So Jamel, Cynthia. So Jamel, you go first, and Cynthia.
Hi. Thank you. This is for everyone on the panel right now. What would you say would be the most, the skill that you use the most that you got from the course on a daily basis?
I would say communication. That's the biggest thing for me. Communication.
And this is Teresa. I would just say working with your team. You see, in the internship, we were thrown with different people, different background, different skill set. And whether we liked it or not, we had to work with them to get our projects done every week. And that was great learning for me. And that gave me a great amount of skills to be able to work with every person I come across. And just like the same in the workplace, ability to collaborate with different kinds of people, using your different soft skills, communication skills, being flexible and just accepting everybody and doing your best to get your job done. I think it's all about communication and collaborating with your team. Yeah, thank you.
I would say ready to learn. When we joined it, aside from teamwork is number one, but ready to learn from your team, from wherever you go. When we joined Eretmis, the goal was we were ready to learn. And then when we were doing the internship, we are in a group and everybody has different background of knowledge that they're coming with. And then your ability to learn something from every person, no matter their personality or no matter what they are presenting, is very paramount to your success in this field, because it's a new field that you are getting into. And if you're not ready to learn, you will not succeed. Sometimes a person will make few comments and you will get like a word out of it that you have learned that day. And so you have to be ready to learn. I think that has been very useful, and being patient with team members. For what I do, patient is number one, because some of the stakeholders, what we were explaining just moments ago about you trying to reach out, is what I deal with almost every day. You reach out to them, you won't hear anything back, but I don't tell you, it's not a personal thing. You don't take it personal. Just making sure that you're documenting and have something to prove that, yes, I have done this, I have made this effort. That's all that matters to me. I've done my part. I've done my due diligence. So being patient with the people that you work around. Don't take things personal. Don't go and take things personal and get upset and, blow up there. This is big boy Pam's job. I think, Doctor, you said this before. If you get this position, you're going to realize that you are in a whole new environment. Everything is different. Nobody's chasing you around. You have to be a big boy, be a big girl or whatnot. And nobody's going to be looking over your shoulders to micromanage you. So you have to be able to time manage yourself, be able to meet your projects and stuff like that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Great insight.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so Jamal, you heard it all. Willing to learn, communication, teamwork will be your key to success. All right, Cynthia and Francis, please. I'm sorry, Cynthia after Cynthia, Justice.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to touch based on the keeping evidence. Sometimes we have some managers and colleagues who reach out to us on Teams, and some of us, our teams are configured to lose the information, let's say after 90 days. So anytime anybody sends you a message or have a discussion with you on Teams, you follow up with an email just to keep evidence of whatever that individual asked you to do, so that in future, if there's an issue, you have something as a proof that so and so manager asked me to do this, and this is the email. And it's advisable that you copy your managers, because like me, I've had instances that sometimes the technical teams, their manager will ask me the issue to do something, but when I send an email and then I copy my ISM on it, my manager on it, you'll be like, this is not a job for security. Technical team, like you have then, that workload has been carried off my shoulder. So it's always advisable to follow with an email when there's a Teams discussion. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your addition. Justice, please go ahead. Justice, if you're talking, I think you're mute. All right, we'll come back to Justice. Francis, please go ahead and take it away.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, I love to appreciate everybody from Dr. Hadu, Sheila, Michael, raised to power 2, Kingsley, Teresa, and everybody. If I don't mention it, don't be angry. So it's been interesting. My question, some of it is gradually being addressed. Look at the situation that was placed for us to keep a track of what we're doing. My question was about what are your major collaboration tools, and that gives everybody visibility. What I'm doing, your manager, the people above you can see what you're doing, and the people you are communicating with, everybody can see each other. Somebody mentioned Teams, but it's not something that you have forever. But what other collaboration tools do you use to keep everybody so that they can see what you are doing without you really telling them what you're doing. But everybody sees, I know what I'm doing. We see, for instance, let's say you're using a service now. I don't know if that's what you use. I'm just using it as an example. Your manager can see who you are talking with, and they can see the trail. So I want to know, because you are on the job right now, what do you use so that the manual process is eliminated? Because you're already doing a tough job. If you have to keep, become your own secretary, sending email, and you're trying to back it up, so what is the reality on ground? Apart from Teams, how do you manage the communication to put everybody, you're seeing what you're seeing, everybody's seeing what you're doing, and they see a track. You don't even have to prove it. So what do you use physically? And then secondly, in the day of automation, because we have some tools right now that are SOA tools, security, orchestration, and whatever. Some incident happen, and we only get to know after the fact. There are automatic processes that will quickly act to reduce the damage and then alert us. So how do you come in that process? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for your questions. Yeah, real question, Francis. All right, because of time, I'll take this one for the first one, and maybe I'll have one of the panel just touch up. We have a lot of questions to go through too, so thank you so much. Yeah, so for tools, you just mentioned one, ServiceNow. Most companies use ServiceNow. For evidence collection, most companies have a GRC tool. I know last week we mentioned so many of them. We talked about, RSA Archer. We talked about Zen GRC, because when you generate that evidence, someone you assign it to a control owner, they can upload it if they have access to it. Most companies also use what we call JIRA tickets, right? Before you collect any evidence, you create a JIRA ticket, right? And JIRA is in the form that you can upload any evidence in it. You can make comments. You can add people to it. You can read everything in terms of paper trail, right? Some companies use Confluence page, right? You can assign tags to people in there. You can create, same thing with JIRA. You can create a whole dashboard. You can see target to the different teams. So every team, like let's say vulnerability management team, they can go and see all their evidences in their team tab, right? There are so many platforms that you can use. You were talking about SOAR and SIM tools. Yes. So when it comes to evidence collection, automation is also very critical. So depending on the platform that we use, if you're looking for maybe change management tickets, most companies, they use ServiceNow. You can literally go in there, type in the team names. You can add some filters and will pull all their latest, let's say, pull requests, right? Maybe they are writing codes. Sometimes they start with an intake form, whether they use Jira or ServiceNow. You can go into ServiceNow. You say maybe change management ticket for, let's say, checkout page. It's going to pull everything for you. It will see the description of the change, security impact assessment, rollback procedure, reason. It will give you everything, right? Some teams too, on their GitHub repo, they have some tools that they can automate evidence collection from GitHub, right? So there are so many tools for evidence collection standpoint. Same thing with incident response, like so many tools. We have Curator, like so many tools that you can use, right? I'll take one more person in here. So panel, if anybody wants to add to this, so we can move ahead.
I just wanted to say this, that he said, what is the reality on the ground? One thing that you have to have in your mind is every organization that you go and work for is very different. So with all the tools that Michael has mentioned, you are going to enter or start an organization that use none of these. Then what do? It still comes down to the traditional way of, you did send an email and there's a proof that that email is there. Proof point will track it, or proof point will be able to look back and see all these emails that you have sent, even if you don't have it in your trail. And then the emails, that the notes that you took. Sometimes you can even share. For mine, we are even using OneNote that my supervisor is able to look at my notes and I'm able to see everything. So it all depends on the organization that you're going to be working for. That is my basic thing that I'm trying to say. It could be different. You just have to adjust with whatever organization that you're going to be working for and what system they are using or what tools they are using, or non-tools or whatever that they are requesting you to use.
Thank you so much.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll maybe take one more person. Anybody else wants to add? Bernice, Michael, or I don't know if Kingsley, anybody wants to add anything before we pivot to the next person?
Already added. I already added on the chat.
In the chat.
Again,
Okay.
it depends on the collaborative tool that your organization is using and the access level each person has. It's not everybody that would be able to see what you're doing. If your manager doesn't have, of course, your manager has access to what you're doing and able to monitor and make sure that you're meeting up with your deadlines. But it also depends on the privilege level the access level that they have. Like Sheila said, again, it depends on, it varies from organization to organization. Different organizations use different tools, and what anybody sees in your organization will depend on what your organization is using and the access level that they have.
Yeah, so this is Bernice.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it differs from one organization to the other. Like as for instance, we have MS Planner, where all our projects assigned to each individual in our team is being tracked with a due date. And for whatever reason you cannot meet the deadline, we have a note or a comment section. You can put a comment section in there and it will trigger an email to the manager or whoever assigned that task. So we also have our RSA Archer for risk management work. Also, whatever is being done in Archer, if you complete a poem, the poem reviewer will get an email that is complete and ready for his review. If you complete an ATO package, it will be in Archer management, and senior leadership will see what you are doing. And if you have a due date, if you are late, it will also show up in the dashboard, which management also is privy to. So it differs from one organization to the other. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernice. Justice, just confirm if you're back, you can ask your question. If not, we can continue with our questions.
Yeah, Michael, I'm back. Please, can you hear me?
All right. There you go. Yeah, loud and clear. Please go ahead, Justice.
Okay. Hi. Good evening to everyone, especially our panelists. I just want to add a little to the question that was posed in relation to what do you do when you are not getting information from people that you are working with. From my little experience, this is what I've realized. There are two ways of handling this thing. One, either you're covering yourself, and two, getting the problem solved. We should go with the approach of getting the problem solved. In as much as we are covering ourselves with the emails, following up, and all those things, what we also need to sometimes inquire from our manager is, okay, which other way can we get this thing done if we are not getting our contact person to, to give us the information that we need? Because let's look at it from this angle. One, if we don't do what we are supposed to do, and something happens and the business, let's say, goes down, it affects everybody. As to whether you have email to cover yourself or whatever it is. If everybody's going, everybody's going home. So in as much as we send the emails to cover ourselves and all those things, I think we should also incorporate the second way that Michael said, whereby we find other people or find other ways of getting those problems solved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your answer, Justice. That was very valuable. All right. Now back to our panel. Next question is, I know some people out here, they are parents. Some people, they do, they have other engagements. Some of them are mothers, fathers, they have kids, right? So panel, please, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance while still doing your role? And also, what are some of the strategies that you use to prevent burnout? So two-pronged question. How do you ensure a good work-life balance? And two, what are some of the strategies that you use to prevent burnout? Let me start with you, Michael.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, in order to answer your question, right? So, work-life balance is actually one of the reasons why I actually decided to, jump on the cybersecurity train, right? So, I currently work fully remotely from home. And in terms of work-life balance, so the way GRC is structured, right, and as Dr. Du says, it's more or less, you managing your own time, right? So you manage your own time, you manage your own schedule, and you have to just ensure to meet whatever deadlines that are set for you, by your manager, right? So generally, day to day, I have different tasks that I have to, get to, and I know when each and every tax has to be get done right when it's due. So I actually always try to basically create my schedule around what I have to do for my work and what I have to do for my family as well, right? So example, like this week, my son has been sick since Wednesday, and he has been home. But guess what? If I was supposed to go to the office, that was going to be an issue, right? But luckily, I work from home, so during the day, I actually have him with me. I get to do less, and then once he goes to bed, I can get on and then just go, carry along and get my tax done. So based on how GRC is structured, you don't actually have a timeline on when, you have to get your work done. You have a due date, but you don't have a timeline, right? So you don't have to, you don't have a schedule where it says, okay, you have to work between 9 and 5 or 8 to 4, or whatever the case might be. But, let's say, okay, I have this third-party risk management project that I'm working on. It's due in 2 weeks, right? So how you get to that 2 weeks, nobody cares, right? Just get to it, and once that 2 weeks is up, make sure you can show your work, right? Whatever you have to submit, make sure you have to submit it, right? And personally, I would say this has been actually great for my work life balance. So actually, have more time with my family, right? So I just have one kid with my wife, and I've been able to basically, learn how to adjust myself and both get my work accomplished or get my work done, as well as have time for my family as well, right? So that's one of the beauties about GRC, right? You don't have a specific time where you have to work. You create your own schedule. All you have to do is just make sure that the work is done. So I think that's all I have for that one.
That is very huge. Thank you so much. So long story short, Michael is saying working from home is actually also a work-life balance itself. I love that. Thank you so much, Michael. All right. So let's go to Kingsley. Kingsley, how do you manage your work-life balance? How do you work and still be able to take vacation with your family? If you go to Cancun, are you going to get fired? How does that work?
No. So that's the beauty of this job. You make the money, you have the time. Uh, One thing, you could work from home or work remotely. If you're working remotely, you have your VPN, so you could log in from anywhere. Um, Again, depending on your role, like my current role, you cannot log into the system, into certain applications with just any Wi-Fi. So you have to have like a mobile hotspot that you use, which I take everywhere I go. So that way I can walk anywhere in the world as long as I have to be able to log into my meetings. In terms of spending time with the family, I made up my mind about 3, 4 years ago that every year me and my family must go on vacation. Some of these things we work all year, we stress all year. Give your family a treat once a year. You're making the money. What's the essence of making money if you cannot take care of the family, if you cannot spend time with the family? That company can replace you, but your family cannot. So the time you spend with your family is very valuable for me as a person. So I made up my mind every year we choose a destination. It doesn't have to be expensive. I live in Arizona. I could go to Scottsdale. We spent 2, 3 nights in Scottsdale. We're driving there, so we're just paying for accommodation. If it's something you can afford to fly, pay for it and go. If you can't fly, just take that 2, 3 days off work. I'm not waking up in the morning. I'm thinking, what meeting do I have today? I schedule ahead of time. Sometimes I like the 4-day weekend. The 3-day weekend. I just take that weekend, go spend time with the family, guys. It is important. As much as we want to make money, we want to save. It's also important to balance life with, have spend time with your family. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Kingsley. All right, Teresa, what can you tell us about work-life balance? How do you take your vacations? How do you go? What do you do that we can learn from?
Again, I can't agree more with my early speakers. Work-life balance is the reason why I got into cybersecurity. And for me, I'm a mom with 3 kids. And so, they get on the bus like 8 a.m. I don't have to worry myself about going to work. I work from home. And for me, when I was looking at different like careers, there are some fields that, yes, you get the money, but you'll be away from your family, and that wasn't for me. So with cybersecurity, working from home, I'm able to see my kids off to the bus. And then once they leave, it's just me to focus on my work. I work that time frame from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I'm just working to make sure that once they come home, I am there to get them off the bus, able to see them eat and not take them to daycare. And so to be able to do that for me, still being able to work and also manage my home and my kids, that's a plus for me with this work and with this cybersecurity field. And I mean, just like the previous speaker mentioned, try to take some time off and use those time offs. Sometimes people work all year and their PTO hours will be taken by the company. It shouldn't be that way. Be conscious of it. Your family needs you. You also need a break. And so for me, what I do, just like the previous person spoke, I try to take some vacations with my kids and my family to make sure that as much as I'm working so hard every day, I try to also maintain a balance in my home with the job I do. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Bernice, we all know cybersecurity. If you think it's easy, if you think it's walk in the park, it's probably a lie. People get stressed out, people get burned out. Bernice, please, what do you do to reduce that burden and the stress?
Okay, thank you for the question. So, aside the flexibility that comes with the nature of the job, for me, I plan my day off. Aside taking long vacation or long week, I always try as much as possible every 2 months or every quarter after my quality meetings. I take I take a long weekend. So mostly I take Friday and Monday in addition to my weekend just to have time for my kids. So for me, I plan my days off every quarter or at least every 2 months. Like I recently took some 2 days off in addition to the weekend. So that's how for me I balance because as you said, it's stressful. I won't lie to everybody because there are days that, especially if you have a deadline to meet, you might have about 3 projects that the deadlines are coming up. So there are days that you might not even be doing anything. There are days that will be so stressful. So after those times, like especially at the end of every quarter, is very stressful. So I plan as much as possible to take every 2 days in addition to a weekend, and also take a week long to go for vacation with the family. So that's how I balance that aside the flexibility that comes with a job.
All right, thank you so much, Sheila. Bernice, we appreciate that. All right, Sheila, please, what do you got for us? Are we going to get fired if we plan on a trip to Italy or Santorini in Greece? How do you manage your work-life balance?
For me, it has been the best decision being a mom for my kids that I get the chance to plan my hours the way I want it to be. And so I'm always thinking about what is next, like what is going to be tomorrow. You don't wake up, or like I think Kinsley said, don't wake up in the morning or don't let the time be here and then you're trying to figure out and then you're squandering all over the place. That's not a plan. So like I said before, this is big boy pants. Nobody's on your shoulders. So I plan it the way it suits me and my family. Some days are going to be busy. Days that are busy, you take it as it is. Just run it and get through it. And then when that day passes, you get days too that are calm and then you're comfortable. And then you also enjoy that. And then after a while, you realize that you need some time off with your family. Yes, you take that. But being a parent, I think this is the best option ever for having that as a job and also being able to be present in your child's life. Because when I'm managing my time, I'm able to show up for kids program, drop my kids off, be able to pick them up, and be there, be home when they are here from school, and when they have to go, I'm here too. So I think that it's a great opportunity to be working like this. But every day before, even today is what, Friday, but I know what my plan is on Tuesday. Monday is a holiday, but I know who I'm meeting with on Monday or what my plans are on Monday. I mean on Tuesday, even though Monday is a holiday. So if you plan ahead like that, I mean, few things comes in, but you always plan ahead because you are in charge of your projects. You are in charge of how you are managing what you're doing because nobody's telling you day to day what to do. If you plan it like that, time management is number one. Basically, all that we are trying to say comes down to time management. If you plan it, if you plan your time well, you will realize that even though some days are very tough, but it's still doable. It's still not to your teeth where you can breathe. You are still able to go through the day calmly, and your family are also okay. That's it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Sheila. Well, that is great. You've heard it all. Just my 2 cents. They covered it all. Time management is very, very key, right? If you work in a big organization, you have so many teams, people working across the globe, right? Some in the UK, some in Peru, Australia, some in Botswana, in India. What I like to do is before I sleep or when I put my kids to sleep, I look on my calendar, I take a look at what I'm going to do the following day. I utilize OneNote a lot. Like Microsoft OneNote, it's like my baby. I take all my notes. I have my to-do list for every single day, especially on the weekends because we work with different teams, some in India, Australia, different time zones, right? So maybe before Monday morning, Sunday, when I put my kids to bed, I take a quick, maybe 30 minutes, go look at my Outlook already because I know there'll be a lot of stuff in my Outlook, right? So I'll plan my day. I already know Monday morning, I've checked my calendar. I know exactly what I'm doing. Take time for yourself, take some vacation. My favorite part of the day is when I leave, whether 4:30, 5, whatever the case may be, and I go to pick my kids from school. Like just seeing them at the door just makes my day because if anyone tells you that job cannot be stressful, they are lying to you. There are days that will be easy days. You only have one call during the day. You can have a lot of work done. I guarantee you there are days that you'll be doing back-to-back calls that you have zero time to do your personal task, right? So you need to take time for yourself. You need to stand up and walk if you're working from home. I work from home myself. So walk, take a walk down the block, do whatever you need to do, and you'll be perfectly fine, right? There's some days too, it's going to be very stressful. Some days you have to stay over a couple of hours just to get a job done. It's just the reality of the job, right? Okay, so we'll go round one more question and we'll wrap it up. We have a lot of questions to go through. We'll see if we can actually do a part 3, but team, as you can see, the community is really benefiting from what we are doing. We'll see what we'll do here, but we'll take one more last question. I know for those in America, it is Memorial Day weekend, so we don't want to keep anyone holding, and we also have some people watching from across the globe. So last question from the team, and I'll start with you, Sheila. What advice would you give to someone looking to prepare themselves for a role in cybersecurity or GRC? What advice will you give them?
I think you need to specify advice in what sense? Advice in where to start or advice in what?
Whatever, where to start. Is there any certification you recommend? Is there what they need to do? Is there like anything, any advice you give someone who walks up to you and says, Sheila, I want to enter into cybersecurity. I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse. What do I need to do?
That's a very apt question. I will encourage them in the first place that this is doable. Anybody that is determined and has some basic background in terms of education can do this. That's the first. The second is identifying where you want to get this training or this where you want to get started at, because there's so many, and it's so sad. It breaks my heart to say this, but it's so sad that our people or some people have stumbled on this and have picked just a few knowledge and have decided that they are teachers or they are trainers, and then they are given very I wouldn't say bad information, but like the smallest of it all, and then lying to people that, oh, you take this class, you do this, you're all set, you'll find a job. You'll finish and you won't find anything. Then you are just disappointed, like, oh, what they said about cybersecurity is not true, it's not possible. I always say, I give this analogy. So you want to build a house and you create a very strong foundation. If you build a very strong foundation, guess what? You can build a wooden structure on it. Nobody cares. The foundation will be able to hold that. If you build a short building, one flat, it will still be able to stand it. If you build a story building, it will still be able to hold that. It all comes down to what foundation you get. So if you're somebody that wants to get into this, you first want to determine the best place that you can get the best knowledge, the strongest knowledge, all-rounded knowledge. That cybersecurity is broad. There's GRC. There's so many positions that you can hold in cybersecurity, provided you get a good foundation. And being for lack of better words, for what I know, and I have tried it somewhere and I have tried here. And so based on what I know, I will say that if you take your training from Eretmis Academy, you have not made a mistake. You have actually made the best decision of your life, because you will get it from the ground up till the time you get a job, and you won't get that from anywhere. So when I meet somebody that is interested in going into this field, first, yes, you can get this done. You have to be determined to want to do this, and also pick the right program or the right place to take the class or get the education. And when you pick the right place, you will be able to succeed. You pick the wrong place, you will fail, excuse me to say, and then you will come back and you will keep looking and looking and looking until you actually step onto the right one before you are able to actually achieve your goal. If you are lucky, you will be able to achieve the goal at the end. If you're not lucky, your interest is killed at that point when you met the wrong training. So meeting the right training is a very very important step in being able to achieve your goal if you want to get into cybersecurity. I don't know if I answered the question, Michael.
You did. That was perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Bernice, your turn. We have so many people ask me, and I'm sure there's so people in here, and we've seen some people come through us. They are nurses, RNs, they are getting burned out, RT, respiratory therapists, like so many roles, they are getting burned out. What advice would you give them if they want to pursue a career in cybersecurity, Bernice?
Okay, so the first thing I would say, make sure you get yourself into the right training, and also make sure you connect to the right, like let's say Eretmis is one of the best so far. I recommend to everybody. So make sure you get the right training, get the right source. That's very important, and to prepare you for the job market. And the second thing I would say, be confident in yourself. When you get a job and you are at the workplace, try and as much as possible to avoid imposter syndrome. Do not belittle yourself. That's very important. So I was sharing this experience with Dr. D. So believe in yourself, especially when you know where you got your training. Believe in yourself. Try as much as possible to be confident, because the people that you see or you meet at your workplace, you might think they know better than you, but trust me, you might even be better. They might be there for 10 years, 12 years, but if you get the right training, the right experience, believe in yourself, have confidence, and avoid imposter syndrome, and you'll be good to go. And the third thing I would say is also networking. Make sure the people you meet in your groups or in your training, you don't lose their contact. Not like talking to them every day, but at least keep their contact. Networking is very important, especially for references. If you get any challenge at work, you can pick up your call or pick up your phone and call them, and they can guide you and also share their experience with you. So networking is also very important. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernice. All right, Teresa, what advice will you give to anyone who wants to break into the cybersecurity industry?
Okay, just to add to what my colleagues have earlier said, get yourself into a good training program because that will set the foundation for your success going forward. If you get yourself in any other training and think, oh, this is the cost is okay, you would not get to that destination to get a job. I got myself into one training that I sat for almost a year, didn't get a job until I joined Eretmis Academy. So if you don't get the skills, the good skills to start with, you will not even find yourself a job. So that is very, very important. That don't look at the cost. For me, I can speak to what I've witnessed uh, and has helped me to this point. That is the Eretmis Academy. So find yourself in that academy, and you will be set off on a good start to get a job in cybersecurity. One thing I would say is that also commit yourself to the field, continuous learning. Just don't say, "Oh, I went through the training, that's it." Whatever that we taught us, just commit yourself to continuously learning and being able to master your skills. Because for me, in our training with our Eretmis Academy, it was a broad range of topics that we went through, and I found myself being a vulnerability risk manager. I had to channel the knowledge I have learned through the training and also do my own self training. I had to take a lot of self learning training on I think Percipio and Skillsoft. I had to watch so many videos, learn to be able to really understand the role I've been given and be efficient. So commit yourself to whatever area you find yourself in, whatever job that you get. Once you land a job, make sure that you are sharpening your skills in that arena. That way you'll be confident in yourself because self-confidence here in this country goes a long way. You go to work, people are talking, and you could even see this person speaking doesn't have the knowledge that you have. But the confidence alone tells that person above you. So if you don't have knowledge, you can't be that confident to me. So for me, I always make sure that I have my facts right. And I'm always learning to make sure that I'm performing at my job and I'm very confident in what I'm saying. And one more I can say to it is that these we've talked about different tools, right? But understand the basic Microsoft tools, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Those are very basic to every job you will get in cybersecurity. I got to job and my manager was like, "Well, you are the first person here. Can you help us create PowerPoint presentation?" And so if you don't know, where will you start from? So as you are waiting to get that job, sharpen yourself in those basic tools. That way, once you get there, even if it's using Excel, you know the basic, your basic way around using Excel. And those will help you to excel in the cybersecurity field. And one thing I also want to say is that sharpen your communication skills. Even in interview, those who can sell themselves that are selected for these jobs. Everything you have to do. If you don't have the self-confidence, my friend, just practice. Practice until you can hear yourself saying the thing that you are going to present. That way, when you get there, you can sell yourself and be confident in everything you do because having great presentation skills, communication skills, goes a long way for you to excel in cybersecurity role. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Having a very good communication skills will go a long way in your cybersecurity career. Kingsley, please talk to us.
Yeah, so let me put out a disclosure before I say what I'm going to say. When we come on this program and we talk to you, we're not talking to you because Dr. Edu is paying us. We're doing what we're doing because of what we believe and what we've gained from Eretmis. So when I say I'm recommending Eretmis, I'm not recommending it because I want to gain something. I'm doing it because it laid the foundation for whatever I'm doing today. I can tell you that straight out. So having said that, many people have come to me and say, hey, I want to switch my career. I'm a data analyst and this and that. The first thing I recommend to them is the beginner training. Go and do it and see if it's a good fit for you, if it's something you want to do. And once you're done with that, let me know. We take it off from there. The next thing for you is to learn the language of cybersecurity. Do your training, sign up for any of the courses. If you find out the niche you want to go into, sign up for the training with Eretmis, do that training. And then as you're doing the training, do the internship that gives you the hands-on skills that you need for you to be able to speak at an interview and say, yes, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And while you're doing that, while you're at it, you're learning from Eretmis, be learning from other sources. And I'm not saying other sources where they're going to charge you. LinkedIn, for instance, has a whole lot of free courses that you can add to what you're already learning from Eretmis. And once you start building yourself, build yourself up to an understanding and then understand the language that cybersecurity speak. Every industry has a language. If you don't understand the language, you can go for 1 million interviews and still don't get a job. You can get 1 million certifications. I've said it in class before. I had a friend who has 6 certifications, still couldn't get a job. He gets interviewed because, of course, all of those, and there's a level of expectation from his level of certification. But when he goes to the interview, he's not able to deliver in accordance with the certifications he has piled up. So that became a barrier to him until he started removing some of them from his. And I'm not trying to talk down on certifications. Please don't get me wrong. If you need to get certifications to make yourself feel good at all costs, get every certification you can. But they are not the basis for you getting into this field. You need to understand the language and be able to speak to it and be able to speak based on the hands-on experience you have, based on the internship you did, that you can say, okay, of the truth, we did this, we did that, we did that. And once you put all of that together, I mean, in line with what everybody else has said, boom, here you come. It might not be overnight for you to get a job. Let nobody deceive you. It might not be overnight. It might take you a while. It might take you the next day to get a job. There have been people in this class within 3 months that got a job. Some of us spent over a year to get a job. Again, it depends on how much you're learning, how much you're putting in. But whatever you do, understand the language of cybersecurity. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Kingsley. So, Michael, please, why won't you take us home? I just relocated to the US. I'm an immigrant, right? I just got my green card. I just got my work authorization. My friends are telling me, go to the medical profession or go to the health industry because it's easy to get a job. I'm thinking about pharmacy. I'm thinking about nursing. A friend just told me about cybersecurity. Michael, please advise me. What should I do?
Yes, so that's a great question, and I think more or less my colleagues have basically said it all when it comes to the Eretmis program. So I mean the program speaks for itself, right? And thanks Kingsley for that disclaimer, right? Dr. is not paying us to be here, right? We are all GRC professionals or cybersecurity professionals making our own money, but we are here willing to give back to the community, right? So basically walking everybody on this call through the processes. So what we actually did to get to where we are, right, in the cybersecurity field. So my advice would be, right, ask yourself the question. So, am I willing to put myself through the sacrifices, to be able to succeed and then get, land my first cybersecurity job? Because guess what? It's not easy, right? And we are not here to sugarcoat it for you, right? We're not here to tell you, hey, just get to the entry level course, get through the internship, right? 2.5 months internship, and then you're gonna land your first cybersecurity job, right? I mean, of course, unless you are Sheila. So I think Sheila is the only person who actually landed the first job on the first interview, right? But for the rest of us,
Yep.
we have to struggle. Like we have to grind, struggle, go through pain, the no's, the emails back and forth telling you, hey, we are moving on with somebody else, right? They're preparing so basically my journey, right, it took me about 5 months to get a job from when I switched from the healthcare sector to cybersecurity, right? And in those 5 months span, even my wife could tell, I barely slept. Probably the most I slept during those days was 3 hours right? 3 hours a day. That was the most I slept because I was working overnight, 12-hour shifts overnight at the hospital. I'll come back, take my son to school, and then straight start my interview. Because generally, I normally schedule my interviews from 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then I'll sleep between 3:30, and then I have to wake up at 6, get ready, and then go back to work and start work at 7 p.m. at night and get off at 7 a.m. in the morning. And I did this for 5 months till I was able to land my first cybersecurity job, right? So my advice is ask yourself, am I willing to, put myself through this pain, through this hardship? Because it's going to be times where you have to say no to your family, right? Because you just don't have the time. Your focus is, you are laser focused on getting through the cybersecurity course and then getting through the internship, right? So you have to be willing to go through that pain. And I'll use myself as an example. So actually, Bernice, who is also a panelist, was on my team during the internship, and I'm not surprised for how, looking at how well she's doing. It was about 13 people in our internship class, and it was just a few of us just actually doing the work, right? Most of the team members weren't even participating, right? And guess what? The few people who actually did their work are the people who are actually working today as, cybersecurity professionals. So ask yourself if you are willing to put yourself through that pain. And of course, you spend money to take the course to do the internship, right? It's not cheap. So why would you spend that money and then just let it go waste? So, just make sure once you make up your mind, hey, I'm going to take the course, I'm going to do the internship, and I'm going to pay the money for it. Make sure you dedicate your time and you sacrifice to actually get to wherever, you are trying to get to. Getting into this field has been a blessing. The money is great, right? Money is great. The time flexibility, and most of us work from home. Even if you work on a hybrid schedule, right? Maybe you have to go in once or twice a week. You still have 3 days working from home. Still better than having to drive 5 days a week to go to the office, right? So the benefits are there. It's a great field to be in, but just ask yourself if you're willing to put yourself through that pain, because it's not easy. And as I said, none of us here are here to sugarcoat it, to tell you, hey, you just get through it and then you can get a job on your first interview. No, it's going to be a lot of no's, right? It's going to be a lot of recruiters, making you promises, but then at the end of the day, disappointing you. So you have to make up your mind that I'm willing to go through all this hardship, through this stress to be able to make it. Because definitely you are going to make it if you persevere, right? Because we all did. We've been through it. We've been through the hardship. We've been through the pains. We persevered. We never gave up, and we are where we are today. So, mine is more as an encouragement, and then also the advice is to ask yourself if you are willing to put yourself through this pain. And then, of course, if you pay money for it, definitely spend the time, right? Put in the work, and absolutely the results, are going to be there for everybody to see. And it's been a lot of students who came to Eretmis who are currently working. It's like, I think it's about 6 of us on the panel tonight, but it's more of us there that you guys haven't actually, had opportunity to hear from. But we just have 6 of us on here, but it's a lot of people who have actually gone through the course, who are actually working in the industry, right? So always do your research, compare courses. We are not here to tell you anything, right? And if you can find a course that is going to follow you from A to Z, right? So basically taking you through the course with no background to having you enroll in an internship, helping you with the hands-on, and also providing you with a job placement assistant, right? I personally haven't seen any course out there that offers all that, right? But if you are able to find one, then more power to you, go for it, right? But personally, I haven't found anything, and I can only speak to what has worked for me, which is Eretmis, right? So that's what has worked for me. Took the entry-level course, went through the internship, and then received my job placement assistance from Dr. Dotel. I landed my first job. So this is what worked for me, and this is what this is what worked for us actually, and this is what we are willing to share with everybody. So I think that's it for me, Mike.
Right. Thank you so much. Spend the money, put in the work, you'll be fine. Thank you so much, Michael. Yeah. So just to put everything together, we are wrapping it up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining. But like I always say, everything is on you. Dr. Duke can teach you. He can come to the course. We'll teach you every single day. We'll give you the material, but it is on you. put in the time, like Michael was saying, spend the effort, learn and be curious. Don't just get a material and go and sleep. Please put in the work, and I guarantee you, 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll be here again as a panelist member, just like these folks right here, and you'll be teaching people about your experience. People will be calling you every day for experience. Learn and be curious. If you find something, okay, if you're doing like a road trip, right, 2-3 hours, let me just do a quick YouTube. What is Amazon? I don't know, AWS, Kubernetes, right? Google Kubernetes, YouTube, listen to it. Trust me, will help you. What is AWS S3 bucket? YouTube it. There's a lot of videos I like. TLDR, put in the work. If you don't know anything, don't just rely on Eretmis. And I'm saying this for a reason. We will teach you everything that you need. But guess what? If you go and sleep, it will do you no good. You need to put in the work and learn yourself. And I guarantee you, you'll be here on the next panel teaching other people. Appreciate everyone for joining. A quick announcement. So this is Memorial Day weekend. There will be no internship for tomorrow because of the Memorial Day weekend. Go to our website. You see a lot of courses out there. Cybersecurity for beginners is for anyone who wants to make a career move. We have a lot of RNs, registered nurses come through. We have a lot of different people from different backgrounds, so different career fields. It is a very good one. I recommend for every single person. I'm not going to be the dead horse. Everybody has talked about that already. We also have our cybersecurity. We have our PCI DSS course as well. We actually just started a new class last week. It's not too late for those of you who are looking forward to do a specialized niche in cybersecurity, very lucrative field as well. PCI is one thing. PCI DSS is something for you. So please look forward to us. Just send us an email, talk to us, we'll get you there. And those of you looking for certification as well, CISSP, like Bernice said, Security Plus, everything, one-stop shop. Reach out to us and we'll help you. And just thank everyone for joining. Appreciate everyone, and we are wrapping it up. Please don't forget our fallen heroes. It's more Memorial Day weekend, so just wanted to throw that out there. Without much ado, we'll wrap it up. Everything has been recorded. It was streamed live on video. It will be posted on YouTube as well. It was being streamed live on YouTube as well, and everything will be posted on YouTube. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. All right. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
Have a good night, everyone. Much appreciated.
Be safe, everyone. Have a good holiday.